Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus, and I have never handled 3A's large-scale Metal Gear Ray as of this recording. But I have now handled a review sample of 3A's half-size edition Metal Gear Ray, the amphibious megamech that debuted in Metal Gear Solid 2. I've tried to do some research Googling to fill in some knowledge gaps, but I can't speak as much from personal experience when it comes to what's different about this one and its big brother, like I was able to with the Rexes. Starting off in a quadrupedic dormant posture, Metal Gear Ray represents the tailless version most definitely seen in Metal Gear Solid 4, and the sculpt's broad strokes are real sleek to look at. The curves are broken up here and there for segmentation, and there are carved panel lines aplenty. The paint is awash with weathered metallics, tattooish camo-like markings, and Outer Haven tampagraphs on each limb. The 3A-esque weathering isn't as strong as half-size Rex's, as Ray's is a little more silver streaky in some spots, where I'd rather it clung along edges and corners. Ray can stand up, unfurling its wingish arms, and hey, did you know it comes with a display stand? You have to remove a panel from Ray's stomach area to connect it, but it has multiple joints on its armature, and generally holds an upright Ray on its feet pretty well. And man, a little spot on the base to attach the removed belly panel for storage, that would have finished this off real nicely. Oh well. Ray's got an intense stature in this position, with an enormous wingspan of around 17 inches. It looks downright violent. The head can pop open to reveal a cockpit area, which can, itself, open up a little further to reveal an empty seat. No teeny tiny pilot figure, though I admit it might have looked more or less like an ink-washed plastic nub at this scale. There's also a button that can pop open Rex's face to reveal its water cutter. The effect is badass. Unfortunately, it comes with two downsides. On my copy of the toy, when everything's closed up, the right cheek plate just hangs slightly open, no matter what I do. Also, while the spring fire effect is supposed to be button activated, it's often motion activated. The hair trigger is feather light and fires off constantly without ever using the button. I'm not sure if this issue is contained to my copy, but be prepared for a few surprise face bangs. Ray's whole head structure here is on a ball-jointed connection, so he can look left and right and up and down. It's quite pleasant, especially given the weird shape of his head. It's just a shame about this cheek plate never really locking in quite right. As for his arms, there is a little bit of a detented motion like this. It's about 3 clicks total, and then there's also a little bit of detenting up and down like this, and then as you saw, the whole wing can also come on up, and then this little panel can come up. It's down like this originally, slides in, goes up, pop this down. You got yourself a wing. So there's a lot of posability on the wings for, you know, what they are and what they do. They aren't gonna, I don't know, they're not gonna be able to demonstrate trigonometry or a gesture with an intense emotion, but I think they move pretty much as they're supposed to for what Metal Gear Ray is. Hi! And his face does that sometimes too while you're moving all the ratchet joints around. His torso is currently taking part in this whole stand structure business. If you pull the stand out, then I can show you this this ratcheted ab joint. Thing is, this joint doesn't work with the stand in there, at least as far as I've tried. Once it's in there, it's kind of locked, and you kind of always have to have the stand on him if you aren't holding him like this. So that's kind of a bummer that this joint's a little superfluous. His trimmed tail also can flip up and down if you wish. There is one button here, right here. If you push that in and pull, and you extend that out, and overall that gives him like a little bit more wiggle, and it gives him a whole bunch of twist. It's not much of a crunch joint, it's way more of a twist joint. Any other, like there's a little bit of tilt as well, but it's primarily just for twisting. It actually fights back a little if you try to crunch it forward. So it's pretty cool. It's just a shame that that's the only kind of spring load assisted joint on this whole guy, because I could have really used that down in the legs. The legs are tricky. At least they're tricky out of the box. The untricky part is that, you know, this moves, it ratchets. This one doesn't ratchet. I'm not sure if that's as intended or if something's busted in there, but then as you can see here, there's like a click outwards in that direction. This joint can be a bugger to move. Like, this one is a lot less friendly. And you hear that wonderful noise? That's the other hip joint. So much like Rex, this cylinder here can kind of pivot like that, separate of this or this. But if you're going to move the leg here, this joint is unpleasant to move. I think it's ratcheted, but the tightness of it, like, I'm not sure if it's ratcheted and they just all sprayed off, you know, or if it's just squeaky. This one kind of has this weird click to it, and these took me, like, 20 minutes of wrestling with this thing. I kind of just guessed that they were there because this joint, when this guy came out of the box, these leg things were, like, moved in a different orientation such that he could only click his legs inwards and not outwards. So it took a while to wrestle with this, and like I now have the you know, the screw side on the back, and the hip joint seems to work the way it's supposed to. See, it's just really rough, and this stuff is all so rough. It feels like, as I understand it, Big Ray had like hidden buttons on him to kind of unlock the articulation, then relock it when you release them. It feels like some of the joints in here are still built for that, but there's no more release mechanism. You're kind of just having to overpower the ratchet joints. And I don't feel like this thing's gonna survive a whole lot of that over time. Like, the sheer amount of force I've needed to engage with to get these hips working has been rough. Anyway, once you deal with all that, there is a spring-loaded panel there, so that, you know, if this thing's all curled up and you move it down, it unspring loads, and that's the entire thing moving. There's also a separate joint just here, with this kind of range. There is a knee joint, well, I guess a second knee joint for these weird digitigrade thingamadoos he has. And then there's the stuff inside the ankles. Now this stuff's kind of weird because I didn't know this. This is all a kind of soft rubber coating that ends in a, it's like a curled in deal. And then this black bit here is hard plastic, but everything else around it, this is all rubber that's curled inwards there. There's one bummer about this, which is that he has no solid standing base. Like, the balance part already is, like, fighting against it. Sometimes you can get him to sort of wobble in place, but he'll eventually lose his balance. And it's hard to tweak his balance because there's no ratcheting in these two knee joints. There is some ratcheting inside here, but if you bend this too much, you get this really ugly, like, folding of the soft rubber stuff. But there's a joint up in here, and then there's a joint here, I think, and then a joint here, I think. Those are two spots that I have gotten to bend. And then there's another joint here, like right here. And you can get it, like, there's a lot of posability in this rubber thing for, I kind of feel like, no reason. There's also even a tilt. And it's detented. This made me think, maybe this thing, like Rex, like, there's a way to get it to balance in place on these little stubs. But I've given it a good solid, 30-40 minute try, and I just can't get him to do it. Ray is, decently posable for what Metal Gear Ray is. I just feel like it's way less intuitive to work with than Rex, and everything about the engineering on this guy, where Rex felt like a second go at Metal Gear Rex at a smaller size, this guy feels like we took the bigger one and made him smaller. End of line. He's certainly posable, but he's way less playable, I think, than Rex. The only time when his posability really works is, like, without the stand, is, I guess, if you are playing with him and you're just waving him around and flying him all over the place. But I wish there was some secret to getting him to stand on his own. If anyone out there gets this and can get him to stay standing without the stand, if you find that magic balance point, please share it, because I'd love to see that. I feel like it's possible, but it's clearly outside of the realm of my ability. Rex's electronics were so exciting, I couldn't wait to see what Ray did with 3 AG1 batteries lodged into its brain. And, well, they're cockpit lights. They light up around the cockpit. From the outside, they sort of function as 2 optic pupils of blue LED glow, but the effect simply isn't as incredible. It's muffled enormously, with its outer visibility feeling more like an uncommon happenstance than an intention. Bummer! End of the day, half-size Ray is everything I thought half-size Rex would be. For the most part, this is the experience of the larger Metal Gear Ray toy at half the size. But where Rex reaped several playability benefits from the downsizing, Ray remains a display piece first and foremost. The stand is basically required, and nullifies a rather nice ab crunch with its presence. Ray's got an impressive mass even at this scale, but I just don't find I can do as much with the toy as a toy compared to Rex. Add in the less impressive LED function and the haphazard spring-loaded face pop feature, and I've got to say that if you're choosing one half-size Metal Gear over the other, go for Rex first. They do look pretty cool alongside one another as a pair of ridiculous mechanical kaiju having a final face-off, but I feel like Ray is more Rex's accessory than equal. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and I hope this video has helped inform you about the other side of the half-size edition Metal Gear bookshelf. Big question, are we going to Sahelanthropus on this channel? I have no idea. Right now, my country's currency says no. But giant robot hope always springs eternal giant robots. That's a saying, right?